Good Sunday evening, everyone. My name is Robert Fry, lead forecaster here at the National Weather Service office, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'll be completing your weekly weather briefing for this evening, Sunday, September 25th, 2022. So let's get started. All right, let's take a look at the situation overview. We're still tracking Tropical Storm Ian, soon to become Hurricane Ian, across the Western Caribbean, and we're gonna be tracking that through much of the new work week. Some good news if you're looking for cooler weather. It looks like we may be in store for a better taste of fall, if you will. Wind and perhaps marginal fire weather concerns will be possible by midweek. We'll talk about that all in the briefing here. So first, let's start off with Tropical Storm Ian. At 5 o'clock, winds were 45 miles per hour, moving west-northwest at 12 miles per hour across the Western Caribbean. They since this came out around 8 p.m., the 8 p.m. update actually increased winds now to 60 miles per hour. So still a strong tropical storm, not quite a hurricane yet. But if you look at the hurricane forecast here in the cone, you'll notice by Tuesday and Wednesday becomes a major, perhaps as strong as a Category 4 hurricane by that time as it continues to move north and northeast generally across the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Now, if you notice at landfall here sometime late Thursday or early Friday, pretty close to the Florida Big Bend, and at this point, again, these forecasts can change, so just an FYI, you might want to check back even our area just to make sure and monitor the situation for any possible changes. The storm is forecast basically to start losing some of its steam just about a day or so before landfall as the environment simply becomes a little more hostile. It looks like wind shear will take over and will start to weaken the storm, thankfully, before it makes landfall. So, but that being said, going from a major to a weaker hurricane can still, especially for that part of the coast, fairly vulnerable. So, know we're going to be watching out for them and sending good vibes to our friends over in Florida for sure. For our area specifically, some marine impacts are possible with high seas, gusty winds, especially over the Mississippi waters. So small craft advisories may be needed for our adjacent waters. High risk of rip currents will be possible for Grand Isle, as well as the unprotected portions of the Mississippi Barrier Islands, Ship Island, Horn Island. So all that said, again, continue to monitor. We're going to definitely be watching through the next week, just looking to see if there are any changes in the forecast. But for now, it looks like the primary impacts for our region here in Southeast Louisiana and South Mississippi looks to be mostly marine and coastal. All right, so let's talk about our 7-day threat outlook here. As you see, number one that stands out is your marine. We've got an enhanced potential there with both winds and seas increasing Wednesday and Thursday. Swells are going to be increasing out of at that point Hurricane Ian. So we're looking at wave heights as high as 10 feet, maybe more out there. In fact, possibly 10 to 15 feet out there. So just a heads up with that, with the increasing swell, again, the rip current potential will be there for the few beaches that we have, Grand Isle rather, and the Mississippi Barrier Islands. Wind also increases indirectly because of Ian. Ian's again going to be across the northeast Gulf, but we've also got a high pressure upstream, so that pressure gradient between the two features will cause some gusty winds around. So there may be a wind advisory needed by midweek. So check back with that as well. And with the higher winds and also with the relative humidity values dropping behind this upcoming cold front, we may have a marginal fire weather potential on Wednesday. So we're going to be watching that throughout the week as things evolve. So let's talk about the end of the next 7 days here. This is day 6 through 10 temperature outlook. More average, very seasonable. It looks like average temperatures as we start October 1st, which, at this point we should start seeing at least a slight decrease in temperatures, especially since last week we were near record highs. So definitely be like a breath of fresh air out there over the next week or two with the more seasonable temperatures. Day 6 through 10 rainfall outlook, again, looks very similar to the last couple of weeks where we've been fairly dry, very beautiful weather, but it looks like, generally speaking, day 6 through 10 looks to be a little bit more limited in terms of the rainfall, with leaning below, just leaning below average. So summary of impacts, again, we're going to watch tropical storm eventually likely to become Hurricane Ian here over the next couple of days as it continues to move northwest and then north and then eventually northeast through the eastern Gulf of Mexico. As of now, based on the current forecast, marine impacts seem to be the primary concern. Again, check back with us for potential updates and changes if they occur. After a warm week last week, we're finally cooling down, folks. Cooler conditions are on the way. Afternoon high temperatures are going to be in the 80s. Overnight lows, depending on where you are, they'll range from the middle 50s over southern Mississippi, interior southern Mississippi. So sorry Gulf Coast, sorry Mississippi Gulf Coast, but that's more so for the Macomb area. But you're still going to cool down too. We're probably going to drop into the perhaps the upper 50s to middle 60s elsewhere. The closer you are to water, unfortunately, you don't get as cool. So, I mean, at least it'll be mild though. It'll be a little bit cooler than what we're used to going out of the summer into autumn here. All right, some gusty winds, marginal fire weather potential is expected as well, with the drop in the relative humidity values by midweek and the uptick in wind, again, between then a tropical storm Hurricane Ian across the eastern Gulf and that high pressure moving in. It's going to be a little bit brisk out there Wednesday into Thursday, so just be mindful that might be a potential we're looking at down the road. So that's all I have for everyone today. As always, if you haven't liked us on Facebook or followed us on Twitter, you know, we're posting all the time. We post more updates there than any other source, so be sure to check it out. Otherwise, everyone have a terrific week. Hope your weekend was great. Mine was great. Hope yours was too. Take care, guys.